Hey traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you on December the 4th, Sunday, with a look at futures and the week ahead. All during the week since Wednesday, we were expecting either a test of this upper trend line and a rollover, or a test of this trend line and a break higher. Well, we haven't had that yet, but currently we're consolidating in time. So we're doing this in a horizontal fashion for the time being. If we look at the futures, we can see that we're right below this trend line that has gone out to this high here in July, okay, and we had a test at that level, and then we broke down through August, okay, and we found support around the 1060s, 1068 area, and we rallied back up to this line, okay. We've tested it again, and we're currently right under that level right now. So we came down, we created this pivot here, and now we have some benchmarks to look at moving into the week. So watching this upper trend line, I'm expecting either a sideways movement now, considering where futures opened, or a move higher. We could still turn over, surely, being stochastics is overbought. But just what I'm expecting at the present moment. Okay, so looking at the fibs, we had this level here that we looked at, as I mentioned, this high October 27th down to this low, created this situation where we had a trend line and the 786 level both coincidentally crossing at the same point. So we have the 1259 area to be concerned about right now, and we're holding the 618. Alright, so now going into the week, if we consider this as a pivot, the close on Friday, the high at 1262 area, we have the possibility of staying above this 236 or coming down to the 382. I don't think we're going to show that much weakness, only because we had this nice run up in October, which showed incredible strength, and we came up to that upper trend line and then basically went sideways into that pattern that we pointed out was a pennant, broke down through that, came back up and retested it now. Okay, so considering this strength, considering it's December year end and fund managers wanting to outperform to get their bonuses, I believe they're going to find the right stocks to get this to move higher. Okay, they've already dispensed with the stocks that weren't doing that well. So this is what I'm looking at presently on the ES. As we all know, copper is an indication of future strength and growth in the industrial sector, construction, and so forth, since there's so much copper used in a lot of things. So it's used as a benchmark. And we're currently at the highs and looking like we could conceivably move higher. Okay, so looking at the weekly, we have the same situation where we have these highs. We're currently breaking through these highs. Okay, so I would say the odds are that we're going to continue to move higher. You can look at this as a bastardized inverted head and shoulders. We had this left shoulder, a low, and a right shoulder, and this being the neckline that we're moving above that. So I'd watch copper during the week as well. Okay, we also need to keep a watch on the euro dollar cross as well. Okay, we want to see this move higher into the week if we are going to be bullish on equities. Alright, if we look at UUP, we had this double top, cup and handle, depending on how you want to look at it, and we tested this level, okay, and backed off, but we did hold the 20 period moving average with stochastics moving lower. So there's a bit of divergence there, maybe, unless you want to read into it. But mark that we did hold the 20-period moving average, so that's something to be watchful of also during the week. Now the S&P in general, I like to watch what goes on not just during the time frame that we are currently in, but also what's happened in the past. If we scoot back to 2006, remember we had something we pointed out before. We came down, we tested this low here. Okay, we popped up to the 50, the 20, and the 50, and we moved lower. We created a little bit of a bear trap here. Same situation at present, where we came down. We didn't quite get down to this low, and we held the 200-period moving average. We're hovering above this 10-period on the monthly. So looking at the weekly, I'm also noticing the strength. Okay, stochastics is up in the overbought territory, and we do have some considerable volume at price. So there's a good possibility and a likelihood that we could continue to move sideways, like we pointed out on the ES, right below this 200-period moving average, and possibly pop up to this upper Bollinger Band. Okay, when you have a flat 200-period moving average, the rule is with the Bollinger Bands that you play long a test of and a buy signal on the lower Bollinger Band, with a target being the upper Bollinger Band. Okay, so currently my target is just shy of 1300, and with the EMA starting to turn up, the shorter term period moving averages are turning up and did hold a price on Friday. There's a very good likelihood that the rest of these EMAs are going to turn up as well. It doesn't mean it's a guarantee, it just means it's what I'm looking at. Note that on Friday as well, if we look at the ES, we had what could be termed a gravestone doji, a tombstone doji, depending on what school of thought. And that could be considered bearish, where we had this run up and we found nothing but sellers at this upper trend line, which was completely expected, right, if you were following us in the chat room. Alright, so I have a SPY straddle. I have two that I entered on Friday, the 125s December, and let's get rid of some of this. Looking at the 60-minute spiders, we had this upper trend line that we broke through, came down, and currently are testing or retesting. Alright, and with the futures where they are right now, it's a possibility that with the squeezing of these Bollinger Bands and the price moving somewhat sideways, that we could get some price divergence here. Okay, positive divergence. We didn't move down as quickly as the Bollinger Bands would indicate. Alright, on the hourly, when we're holding this upper trend line. Alright, so presently I'm leaning a little bit more bullish than I am bearish. I'm looking for price action to consolidate in time rather than in price. So I'm looking for us to hold this level and then rally into Christmas. Okay, there's always the caveat that we could have some news that could adversely affect the market, but with the market, as we mentioned in the room, being as manipulated as we see this one, there's a very good possibility that the powers that be want to rally this into Christmas. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at, and that's just about it. So this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio. Remember to use your stops, and we'll see you in the room. Take care.